Angela Petrilli here with a brand new episode of the Riff Rundown with my friends at Fishman. Today's episode is pre-recorded, but don't worry, we're still gonna have some fun. I've gotten a ton of requests about this song, so I figured we would learn this one today. I haven't had an electric guitar in a long time on one of these lessons, so figured this would be the perfect opportunity. So folks, we're gonna be learning Miss You by the Stones. Such a fun tune with a lot of great guitar interplay that's going on here. So have your electric guitar in standard tuning for this one. We're going to be going over the chords. There's only 5 chords in the song. They're all going to be bar chords, but as always for my beginners, I'll give you guys options. It's a really, really fun one to play. Less is more for this tune. Less is more. We'll be going over some of the main riffs that are in this tune, some of those cool little solo parts, and I'll give you guys some ideas on how to play this when you're jamming with some friends, okay? So before I get started, folks, you know I love to ask a question. Let me know where you're tuning in from and your dream Fender guitar, whether it is a Strat, Tele, Jazzmaster, whatever it is, I wanna know. Put it in the comments, all right? So we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Again, electric guitar, standard tuning. Let's have some fun. Here's Miss You. So there's a bunch of cool riffs in here. We're gonna get to as many of them as we can today. So this is a fun one. So let's look first at the intro chords. So the intro chords is gonna be an A minor and it's gonna be a a D minor 7, okay? So A minor and D minor 7. So they would look and sound like this. The bar chords, I think those really encapsulate the sound that Keith and Ronnie are doing in this interchange of the song. Such a groovy tune. There's so much groove in this, and again, as I mentioned at the top, the interplay is just killer. Less is more with this song. So we have an A minor bar chord. It's going to look like this, and it's going to sound like that too. Okay, so A, C, and E are 1, flat 3, and 5. Those are the building blocks of this chord. You're going to get your first finger. You're going to lay it across the 5th fret of all of the strings. Okay. So where the tip of your first finger is, that's A, okay? That's gonna be our root of this chord. Your 3rd finger, go ahead and place it on the 7th fret of that A string. That note is E, that's our 5. Your 4th finger, place it right here on the 7th fret of that D string. That's another A. Now, we're gonna strum everything here. Now hear that last note right there. 5th fret of that G string, that's our C, that's our flat 3. Okay, so strum everything. So that's going to be our A minor chord. Now for my beginners, if that's too tough, you can go ahead and play the A minor in this way. It's going to do the job, but it's close, right? The bar chord is where it's at. Okay? So that's what we're going to do there. Now, to play this D minor 7, we're going to do here. Again, another bar chord, first finger, 5th fret, okay? Place that first finger across the 5th fret of the A string downward, okay? So our root of that D minor 7 is right here at the tip of that first finger, 5th fret of that A string. Now, what we're gonna do here, your 3rd finger, place it on the 7th fret, okay? 7th fret of that D string, that note is A, that's the 5th of D, all right? And your 2nd finger, place that on the 6th fret of that B string. That right there is our flat 3 that's located in this D minor 7, okay? That's the F, all right? So to make that D minor 7, right, we have D, we have F, we have A, and we have that C again. That 5th fret of the G string, there's that C. So once we play this chord, go ahead and strum everything, those bottom 5 strings, the E string. The low E string isn't invited to the party, okay? So that's what's happening there. Now, as I mentioned at the top, less is more with this, okay? Less is more. We're not looking to do this. We want this to flow. We want this to flow. We want to leave room, right, for those riffs, which we're going to go over in a second. Want to leave room for that space. A lot of room for the bass, too. Notice how the bass is doing a lot of cool stuff in this tune. And again, those of you who aren't super familiar with this song, do yourself a favor and go listen to it. It's so great. It's such a fun one. It's a staple at a lot of the blues jams. I've been playing this song for a long time. It's a fun one. It's a staple for sure. So when we're going over the strumming of this, less is more here. How I like to approach this is I like to hit the root of that A minor chord and then just give it a good downward stroke. And notice how I gave it a little bit of a buffer, right? I hit the strings with this part of my hand, because the side of the hand there, okay? So it's something like this. Let's do that again. Again, leaving room for groove. We're not strumming here. We're not strumming a lot, okay? Less is more. Again. Now, we're going to do the same strumming pattern with that D minor 7. Root. A minor. Let's do that one more time. Now, something cool that he does here that I love doing when I play this song, you're going to get your 4th finger. Place it right here on the 8th fret of the E string. Listen to this chord. Yeah, it's good stuff, right? So include that after you play that D minor 7. Reach with that pinky to hit that C note on the 8th fret of the E string. So here we go. Let's do it a little faster. See all those pockets? We're leaving room, we're leaving rhythmic room. It's really, really cool. I also want to mention, as far as the pickups here, I've got the Fishman Fluence, the single width Strat style pickups. I am just plugged in direct to my Blues Junior. I don't have any overdrive, I don't have any delay, I have nothing. This is straight into the amp, folks. Blues Junior with the Strat. It's yeah, I'm loving the tone. It's like, it's working for me. It's working for me. So that's what's going on here. And again, if you want to find out more about these pickups and the other Fishman gear that I use on these lessons, link is in the video description, folks. Okay, so that's pretty much the groove there. We don't want to overdo it. Less is more. I cannot stress that enough. So let's go ahead and look at the main riff, the iconic riff, right? The harmonica does it. I think even the saxophone does it on here. We've got Mick singing it. It's a really, really important riff, and it's just awesome. And not too hard to play, folks, so let's go ahead and do it. Here's the riff. comes out of that A minor pentatonic, right? So let's go ahead and do this here. First finger on that 5th fret of the D string. That note is G, so that's going to be our flat 7. Land on A, 7th fret of that D string. Now what we're going to do here, that 3rd finger, lay it flat just for a moment, and hit that D note, 7th fret of the G string. Watch my hands. No reason to go. It's already there. Flatten it. Save yourself a little energy. Then after that, we're hitting C. That's going to be our flat 3, 5th fret of that G string. Okay, let's just do that part here. Now we go back to our A, 7th fret D string, to G, back to A. Don't forget to alternate pick. Notice how I'm doing a little bit of this vibrato. That's something I just love to do. That's part of my playing style. Anytime I can add in a little vibrato that's tasteful, I will. Optional. I like it. And notice there on that C, I kind of bend it. A little bit of a downward tug there. If you want to give it a little bit more of a growl, do it. You want to keep it a little cleaner without the tugs and vibrato, it'll sound like this. Now with the vibrato and the tug. I'll leave that up to you. I like that version a little better. Personally, I think it's cool. And sometimes the string will slip out of your hands. It's all good. It's live, folks. It's rock and roll. So there's that riff there. Now, when we're looking at the 13th second mark, there's this really cool little riff. It's really cool little sliding, like dyad. So let's go ahead and learn that here. Again, giving you guys options for when you're playing this. So what we're gonna do here, you're gonna get your 2nd finger. You're gonna slide that from the 7th fret of that G string. That note is D. You're gonna slide it up to E, 9th fret G string. Get that 1st finger down on the 8th fret of that B string, G note. Hear that? So that's a partial of an E minor chord. Bring that shape back a half step. Your 1st finger should be on the 7th fret of that B string, and your 2nd finger on the 8th fret of the G string, right? The E flat minor. Bringing it back here to that partial of that D minor chord. 1st finger is playing F, and your 2nd finger is playing D. So when we put that together, so that's a little riff. Notice how I'm doing a little bit of vibrato, optional. Let's look at the right hand. What am I doing here? I'm hybrid picking, folks. I really, really like to hybrid pick this. Could you? I don't think it sounds as good, me personally. So the pick, what I am doing here, plucking downwards on the G string, and then the B string, notice my middle finger here, plucking upwards on that B string, okay? I'm gonna do this a little slower so you can see this. Focus on the right hand. Okay, I'm gonna do that again. Here we go. A little faster. Again, really, really cool riffs. Love the Stones. They do the best riffs. All right, so that's what's happening there. That's the 1st half. And again, this riff starts at the 13-second mark. All right, so now what we're gonna do here is this. Very similar, just a little bit different. So that was our first one. Notice how we're adding a little bit extra on that first one. All right, so that's that riff there, that moving little chord. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the A minor to D minor a couple times, and I'm going to throw in that little riff. Okay, so here we go. Follow along if you can. Add that C note. All right, again, giving you ideas. Super fun riff. Okay, so we've got the main riff down. All right, so another really cool riff that's happening, this is going to be at the 41-second mark. So we are well into the verse here. Again, the verse, 2 chords, folks, A minor, and that D minor 7. That's something very cool that happens here too. A really cool hammer-on with the inside of this chord. Now, how we would do that, hear that hammer-on? You're going to leave the bar as is, lift your second and third finger up from that chord shape, and then just bring it back on down. This happens with the D minor 7, okay? So it's going to be like this. Okay, so just like that. Let's go in between this A minor and D minor 7, then we'll go ahead and look at that riff that happens at the 41-second mark. Add that C in, why not? All right, so 41-second mark. There's a really cool, straight out of the A minor pentatonic, folks. Let's learn it. So you're going to, again, slide with that second finger from that D note to the E note, 7th fret to 9th fret of the G string. First finger landing on that G, okay, 8th fret of the B string. 3rd finger, 10th fret, the B string, that's A. Now, let's do that. Don't forget to alternate pick. Now what we're going to do here, part 2, get that second finger sliding in from the 9th fret of the G string, back to D, 7th fret of the G string. Notice how I'm only striking that note once. I'll do that again. To C, 5th fret. Again, parts 1 and 2. We're going to land on A, 7th fret of the D string. Let's do that again. Now we're going to add our flat 7 of G, 5th fret D string. Let's do that again. One more time. That's the next part. 3rd finger reaching to E, 7th fret of the A string. Again, we're plucking it once, sliding it to that D note, 5th fret A string. First finger playing C at the 3rd fret of the A string. And finishing on A, 5th fret E string. Let's do that whole thing. I'm going to do it a couple times really slow, and we'll go over to our next part. Notice the alternate picking. Let's do this one more time. Okay. And listen to the timing of it on the tune. It's just so tastefully done. Oh, it's so good. All right, so from there, we're in the verse. Again, A minor, D minor 7. All right, and then comes that main riff again. And that second riff we did. Okay, so that's happening there. Now there's a really cool octave riff. The bass player does it, but man, when I play this live, and I know when a lot of guitar players, when we play this live, we like to play it too. So I'm gonna show you how to do it. So you're gonna get your first finger here, placing that on the 5th fret of the A string. So the whole riff is gonna sound like this. And then part 2 of that riff. It's really fun, really easy to play. So you're gonna get your first finger here, 5th fret of the A string, that's D. And guess what? Our 4th finger, we're gonna play D again, but this time 7th fret of the G string. How I like to play this, I use the pick to play the A string, and I hybrid pick this too. 2nd finger lifting upwards on that G string. Like that. Okay? Now we're gonna move this up. We're now gonna play the E octave. Your first finger should be on the 7th fret of the A string. Okay? 4th finger, 9th fret of the G string. And we're gonna pluck it the same way. Now we're gonna move that to F. First finger should be on the 8th fret, and your 4th finger should be on the 10th fret G string. So let's do that a few times. Bringing it back to E completes the first circuit of this riff. Let's do that one more time. Now part 2 of this riff is going to sound like this. So how this is done, the first half is exactly the same. D, E, F. Now we're going to keep moving up. We're going to go to G. Your first finger should be on the 10th fret of that A string, and your 4th finger on the 12th fret of the G string. Okay? From here, we're going to go up to A, bring the first finger to the 12th fret of the A string, that's A, and your 4th finger should be on the 14th fret of the G string. So the whole riff, or at least the second half. All right, not too bad. Let's do that one more time. One more time for good luck. I'm sure it's sounding great. Stick with it, folks. So if we were playing this, to give it some context, it's cool, but this riff pops up a lot of places, so have a listen for it. So that's the octave riff. Now we kind of get to that bridge part, okay? And the bridge is going to sound like this. Okay, so what are those chords? We're going to have an F major. We're going to play it this way. I know a lot of us don't like bar chords like this, but trust me, they sound great. Okay, first finger, 8th fret of that A string, there's your F. F, A, and C, that's our 1, 3, and 5. Your 3rd finger is going to press down on the 10th fret of the D string, G string, and B string. Don't freak out, it's good for you. Okay, Okay, it's good exercise. Leaves the second and fourth finger free to do other chords. All right, so that's why I like to grip these chords like this. So third finger, like that, 10th fret of the D, G, and B strings. We're gonna bring this to an E minor 7. Okay, first finger is on E, 7th fret of the A string. Your third finger is on B, 9th fret of the D string. Your second finger is going to be right here, okay, on the 8th fret of the B string. That note is G. Strum everything except the low E. I mean, you could. Gives a little extra if you want, but we're gonna do it like that today. Bring this back a whole step to D minor 7. We're gonna do this 2 times. So, you can go ahead and hit these as whole notes and let them ring. If you want to play it a little more funky, hit the bass note of every chord with 2 downward strokes. So here's the whole note version. All right, let's do that. F major. This is repeated twice, or we want to do it a little funkier, hit the bass note, strike the chord 2 times. Okay, we're going to repeat this again. And E7, okay? So we're gonna play it like this. First finger should be across the 7th fret. Okay, A string downwards. Get your third finger, placing that on the B note, 9th fret of that D string. Your fourth finger should be placed on the 9th fret of the B string. B as in boy, that is our G sharp. So E, G sharp, B, our 1, 3, 5. And then we have that flat 7 of D, which makes it the 7th chord. Okay, and how we're gonna strike it is like this. 2 downward strikes 2 times. Just like that, all right? So, in context, here's everything in that bridge part. Repeat. E7. And then back to our A minor and D7. Pretty fun tune. Now, say you really want to solo and all that stuff, A minor pentatonic is going to be where it's at. All these riffs that we're getting are coming from this A minor pentatonic. All these riffs, even the, or let's see, B. That's just the riff, but up a little higher, right? We're still playing G, A, D, C. Those are the 4 notes. So that's 8th fret of the B string. That's your G. To A, D, 10th fret of the E string, and C. So now you can play that in 2 different ways. So when you're soloing, feel free, always come back to that riff when you're soloing. Ties everything together. I think it's super nice. So anyway, folks, this was such a blast. That was Miss You by the Stones. Again, a really, really fun one. Highly, highly recommend that you go and listen to this tune and just see the interweaving and the interplay between the 2 guitarists. It is just magical. It's magical. This is such a fun one to play too, especially if you're playing with someone else. Really, really fun one to break out. It's super easy tune to play, lots of fun chords. Again, if you're enjoying these lessons, be sure to subscribe to the channel. It helps the cause, folks. And again, thank you to my friends at Fishman. You want to learn more about the cool pickups and all the cool Fishman gear that I use, click the link in the video description below. So again, thank you all so much. See you next time.